Ahoy folks, Cabin Boothby here, and we're just coming up on Cove Point here, and we're doing a run down the Chesapeake Bay. Started off from Whitehall Bay this morning, and we got about, well, from here probably about 60 miles left to go. The whole run's about 90 miles. So we're going to do an overnight run tonight. There's several reasons why I'm going overnight. One is just the way the bay is that most of the anchorages you have to wind your way in and out. And especially in a boat without an engine, and generally light and fickle winds on the Chesapeake, you can spend so much time trying to get in and out of the anchorages that you waste a lot of time you could use just traveling north or south down the bay. So I found a good way to actually make miles up and down the Chesapeake is to do these overnight runs. Now, of course, the bay, I mean, it's fairly wide here, but it's still fairly close quarters. So basically an overnight run means pulling an all-nighter. Especially as a solo sailor, I have to be awake pretty much all the time. So I'll put a pot of coffee on and just let her run here. As you can see, we got a beautiful wind. It's kind of north-northeast, around 10 knots or so. It gusts in, dies away, and it's supposed to veer sort of more northeast, even east-northeast, which is even better, because then we'll have a beam or a broad reach, and generally holding in kind of the 5 to 10, sometimes up 12, 15 range. And so we got a good wind. And that, of course, brings us to rule of engineless sailing number 4, which is never waste a good wind. You got to go when you got the wind. Make the miles if you got to be places. In this case, we got to be at the Delaville Boatyard this Friday, where we're scheduled to haul out, and we're going to give this girl some paint and get her all dolled up and ready to do the passage south down to the Caribbean this winter, which we'll probably do in early November. So anyway, it's all is well here. It's an absolute beautiful day, not a cloud in the sky. Although I think we have rain moving in, which is basically going to be the remnants of Hurricane Irma, which is presently just hammering Florida. As last I looked, it's a Category 4 hurricane, but that should dissipate pretty quickly once it goes inland. But we have wonderful weather here, and we're chugging right along, and we'll check in with you later. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye. So I want to show you guys something here. This came to me from a fellow engineless sailor. We were talking about making these overnight trips up and down the Chesapeake Bay. And he asked me if I have a chart plotter. No, I've been using paper charts. Been using paper charts for years. And then he asked me, well, do you have a computer? Yes, I have a laptop computer, which I use for a bunch of things. And he says, well, just go on the internet to OpenCPN, and I'll provide the link here. And you can download chart plotting software for your computer. And when you get to the site there, there'll also be links to lots of electronic charts that you can feed into OpenCPN. And these charts are also all free. So far, everything here is free. The only thing that wasn't free was the GPS feed. You need some sort of GPS feed. So I found out that you can buy a GPS feed which will work on a laptop computer. And here's a little GPS unit, and it'll feed in via USB plug. And so you just connect that up to the USB port on your computer. And this one was made by MapTech, and I got it from West Marine for about $100. And West tends to be kind of expensive. I'm sure online you could probably get it for less than that. And it came with a little CD, so you just install the driver and plug the thing into your computer. So you plug the GPS into your computer, into the USB port, and click on the icon for Open CPN. And then what you'll do is you'll click on Options, which is the little wrench here, and click on Connections. And I already have it connected, so I'll remove it and start over here. You go to Connections and then Add Connection, and then you'll see Data Port, and there's just one choice here. So we'll click on that, and then click on Apply, and then OK. And you can see, voila, the little red boat here on the chart is us. And it gives us our position, 3835 north, 7624 west. Speed over ground is 4.6 knots, 4.9 knots, 5 knots. And course over ground is 160. These are these are all up-to-date charts, in this case of the Chesapeake Bay. And you can see just how immensely useful this is, especially on the bay here with all this shallow water. You can instantly see where you are in relationship to the shallow water. So far in my experience with OpenCPN is, it's minimal cash outlay, and it's very, very useful. So just wanted to share that because I found that this is just a home run. So once again, we are presented with a narrow winding channel, and this time we're going to have to do it on no sleep. And you can see the green can passing just across our bow here. We have to leave that to port, and so we have to clear that. And it's looking like it'll be about a close reach in. But as I get further in, the wind is not only getting lighter, but it's also coming forward. And I just have the mainsail up. I'm cranking that mainsail in. And I'm also kicking myself for not taking the sculling oar off the bowsprit where I stow it and having it rigged and ready to go. Because here is where I could really use a sculling oar. And so we are just barely going to clear the port, the green marker here. And there is no room on either side of this channel. So if you get off to the side of the channel, you go aground. But we made it, barely. And so now we can bear away and run downwind toward the next red marker. And so finally we just have the last red coming up here. And we make another turn and into the anchorage in Jackson Creek, which is fairly roomy, and there's a few boats anchored here. But as it turns out, we'll sail past them and drop our anchor just past the boatyard. So the last thing we have to do is sail the boat into the travel lift slip. And generally I avoid docks just because they often present quite a challenge for an engineless sailor. But sometimes they are unavoidable. Now I am waiting to get clearance from the boatyard to actually go in and tie up to the slip, and they still haven't called me back yet. So rather than sailing around the harbor, I'm going to just round up and drop my anchor approximately dead upwind of the travel lift slip. And so the line you see me releasing right here is the peak halyard. One of the nice things about a gaff rig is that you can simply lower the peak and it'll pull most of the power out of the sail, so the boat won't sail around when you don't want it to. Okay, so here we go. We got clearance, and I'm coming back with the bucket here. That was to wash the mud off the anchor. I just pulled the anchor up, and now I just shipped the sculling oar. So now we need to turn her through 180 degrees with the oar. And she's a long keel vessel, so she doesn't like to do tight turns. So it's going to take us a few minutes just to get the boat pointed in the right direction. And so I'm going to time lapse it here. And here we are, and we are almost pointed toward the slip. The travel lift slip is coming into the right-hand side of the screen just now. That's the small travel lift slip. That's the one we're aiming for. And further to the right is the large travel lift slip coming into view right now. So we're just about on target here. So in a minute I'm going to start sculling to give her a little forward momentum. So now I've started sculling. You can see off to the edge of the picture I'm swaying back and forth with the sculling oar. And you can see the boat. She's gradually beginning to gather some way here. And we also have a light breeze behind us. So in a minute I'm just going to pull the sculling oar up. Just did that, and just let her sail under bare poles downwind. There's no reason to move quickly here. Just easy does it, and just let her slowly sail toward the slip. And so I'm just making final preparations with the dock lines here. And one of the yard workers on the dock is going to help me with my lines. So that makes things a little easier. And so he just asked me if I'm drifting. I said yes, though not drifting, but still in control here. And he's going to take my bow line for me here in a minute. Dash forward and hand him the bow line. Now the line I'm jumping on the dock with is not attached to the stern. It's not a stern line. I actually have it around the Genoa winch. And in this situation, you want to attach a line about 3/4 of the way aft. And particularly if I was alone here, with a line attached about 3/4 of the way aft, if you slowly take up tension on it, it will both slow the boat down and also pull the boat in closer to the dock, with the boat remaining fairly parallel to the dock. It won't suddenly pull the bow or the stern in. Now, if there was a lot of wind behind me in this situation, I would have had to deploy a stern anchor as I was coming in order to slow the boat down. Otherwise, she might have been too much. There might have been too much weight on her to slow her with these dock lines.